Hi, I'm Jupiter Darkling and I'm here with Crisis Darkling, and today we're gonna talk about Artblock and art burnout. So the main difference between Artblock and art burnout is that with Artblock, you feel like you physically can draw because your might be overwhelmed or you can't come up with new ideas. And with art burnout, you lack motivation for whatever reason. Again, could be physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion, burnout from a different part of your life. But the thing they have in common is that you cannot create art. And personally, I went to uni in 2015. I was quite a late starter with uni, so I was 20 that year. And I studied game art and animation. When I went to school, I had a lot of motivation. I wanted to create a lot of art. I want to be a concept artist, create characters, stuff like that. But as the years went on, I lost my motivation and my drive to become that. I started realizing that it was not for me, and I started neglecting my own personal work because I just felt like I couldn't. All the art I produced from 2015 to 2019 have all been bodies of work for school. I didn't do anything on my own accord anymore. So once I graduated, I still suffered the art block. It took me approximately 3 years before I overcame that art block and found inspiration again to find my own style and what I like to draw and what I found inspiration in.
Yeah, and I suffer with both art block and art burnout. And when I was at uni, the creativity just flowed. I never struggled with ideas. The minute we got a brief, I just got on with it. And a lot of people said to me where do you get your ideas from? But then after uni and when I've eventually done my art career myself, that was photography, what I used to do then. But when it came to art, there's more pressure in that way. So I felt like more pressure in a way of you've got to create these characters from nothing, and whereas photography, you had characters already there that because people was there. So and again, photography's art itself, but you literally paint up everything, your ideas, and you've got more control and more freedom, and I love that, and I do prefer it over photography on that. But a lot of things happened with Instagram before, and that's what caused the burnout with me. It was that I was growing fast before, organically, and then Instagram started changing things, and because I was growing fast, it went from, don't sound like much, but I was easily in no time getting 200 likes a post, and the first half an hour was 50 likes straight away. And obviously anything when you do a post, bit by bit it gets less and less over time, spreads out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I was getting 200, 250 likes and easy, no messing. And then one day I posted something and it just suddenly changed, and it went from 50 likes in the first half an hour to 50 likes in total. So I started criticising my own art, thinking I'm doing something wrong. Then obviously I found out Instagram changed things. So I think a lot of that caused a lot of burnout in that way, because when you're marketing yourself, you've got to push and push and push, and
Yeah.
And even just in a few years from that, Instagram have changed so much now. You hear a lot of artists now saying I'm not this social media expert, but you've got to change things. And social media has changed so much in that way that as an artist you've got to, which obviously I know it's part of marketing, but you've got to wear so many hats, and social media is just making it harder and harder. What used to be easier a few years ago is getting so hard now.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that you've got to do more from a few years ago.
Yeah.
And that's where I got that burnout in that way, because there was nothing I could do to pick the likes or anything up. And then you get art block. I think my art block came after that.
Mm.
And the similar things, but it's you've got to listen to your mind at the same time as well, because it's depression. You've got to have a rest from it.
Yeah.
Your body's telling you, and in the English language, it's all that deep rest, depressed. Listen to your body. You've got to, and you hear some advice on things online and books and all that. It's like, oh, push past it and just make a brush stroke. And yeah, if you've got burnout or art block or anything, you can make that brush stroke. And when you do that, you do find that you get that more momentum going and you start painting and suddenly you get into it. Otherwise, yeah, you would have been sat there. That's where I do agree with them on that. But the thing is, I think when you've got the burnout or the block, they're so similar that you found that then you get halfway through it and you can't finish it. Because if you haven't got the motivation there, you can't carry on. And the motivation's the one with, which one's that?
That's the art burnout.
The burnout. So if you've got the burnout, it's alright doing like starting a painting, but if you burn out, you can't finish it. And I think you do need to take that rest and take that time out. You've got to find the motivations, but it'll come from somewhere. So I've had this long period myself where I've had this art block and art burnout, but they do go hand in hand because like I've just suddenly started like doing physical painting again and digital painting, and something just happened from nowhere. It just happened, and suddenly I've got the motivation again. But I'm a different person. It's like, how could I not do this when I was suffering with the burnout and the blocks? Now I can do it. No messing, and it's like there it is, and that's where it's different to like any other job. And the thing is, like when you're working like a job, you could be like in a mundane office job or something, but you've just got to plod on and carry on because that's what you're getting paid for. And that's where people, because there's never any motivation for something like that. Every day is the same. It's just, here we go again.
Yeah.
With art, because it's a thrill when you get it. When you lose that, you feel it. It's different. And it's not a mundane job. You do enjoy what you're doing. And it's challenging, and people don't realise that, yeah, just because you can paint, doesn't mean it's easy. It's always a challenge. And that's it when you paint something, even though you can do whatever your skills are, what you're capable of, other people admire it and they could say things like, you're amazing. Yet as an artist, you're never satisfied. You're always thinking like, oh, I can do this better, that better. But somebody's always going to be wishing to be at your skill level.
Yeah.
So you're never satisfied. At the same time, that's what pushes you through. Yeah. That can give you motivation as well. But if you've got the block, no matter what your skill, it's a different job altogether, and people don't understand it. They mix it up with like laziness.
Yeah.
It's not, because it works in a different way like any other job. And same with like musicians are so similar. If the block's there, they can't do it. Writers, everything. We always hear about this writer's block, art block. It's the same thing.
Yeah. And
you've got like top writers doing the same thing. They get writer's block, and they just can't push through. And people are like, you're world famous. Like, what's it that about? People I don't think understand, because I think they measure it by their own jobs, that we've all got to plod on in our own jobs and this and that. But creativity is this, you've got to man it in your own brain.
Yeah.
And that's how I always see it. And when the resources out there in your own mind, like when you're manning for anything, you can go somewhere and there's nothing there. There's other places where you go and that, oh, it's goal man. It's going to, oh, here we go, we've got a goal man.
Yeah.
It picks up that momentum. It's that, oh, here's the motivation. And it's the same if you lack payments and things like from your art as well. That can also cause like burnout itself. So it's not just you mentally like pulling away from your art. A lot of like outside circumstances, I think, like fit into that.
Oh, yeah.
And like I say, like I talk about creativity is like manning in your brain. And if you go somewhere and you think, oh, the goal's going to be there, you're going to man it, and it's not there, you're going to deflate and you're going to lose momentum. But it's like trying to still man when you're not getting payments and things like that, which a lot of artists like struggle. If you're not getting the payments, that's like still digging for that goal, man. That just in there. Like, what are you digging for? Yet you've got this passion to find gold or whatever it is, and yet when you've got it, you're going to dig and dig and dig. You're not going to burn out when you found the gold, man. And so I think that creativity is like that in that way.
Yeah.
It might sound like a weird way, like comparing it, but that's how I see it. When it's there for a reason. Why, for some reason now, am I just carrying on? And I've just found something again in my brain where I'm just there. I'm getting it now.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it before. And I've thought about it and I thought, I'm a different person. Now I can just do it. Before, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never struggled with ideas and this, when I was at uni. And I think it's the pressure of like being an artist. It's not an easy job to do, and people think you just lay about on a couch all day and you just paint whenever you want. This and that. It doesn't work like that.
No.
It's nothing like that. And people think you've got this easy life, and it's not. And I can get more. And there's other different burnouts. I can work all day, like putting a piece of furniture up, and spend a full 8-hour work day. Like if you're like doing something, yeah, I'm tired when I come home, but it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
And that's more like physical work in that way. And I'm not saying people don't get burnt out with jobs. I know they do, but I think like anything, you get used to what you get used to. People can get burnt out with a job. Now, I don't have a regular job, but when I do and build furniture up, that doesn't burn me out. But physically, I'm tired afterwards. But yeah, if I do an artwork, I'm absolutely drained in a different way, because it's not physical. But also, when I do paint, when it does come physical, when I paint, I used to paint like really big pieces physically, because you're squatting, you don't realise like you're squatting, you're doing all sorts with your arms, and you don't realise when you're in the zone what you're pushing your body through as well.
Yeah.
I've been more tired from doing that than building furniture for 8 hours.
Yeah. I personally haven't experienced art burnout yet. I'm saying yet because you never know when that's going to change. Maybe it will never change, maybe it will, I don't know. But I've always struggled with art block. And that's more the inspiration side. You can't find the inspiration. While art burnout is more the motivation. And now that my fiance is teaching me to paint, my God, in the 5 weeks I've been in England now, I've made 13 paintings. And, I love it. I feel so inspired. I feel so connected to art again. And it also helps with my digital work now. Because you just get a whole new perspective of looking at your artwork. And I can just I can just plod on now. And it is an amazing feeling. But what gets me down, and it's not in a burnout way, but just what gets me frustrated is a better word, is that lack of sales. Because it is a livelihood. We depend on art sales because we're not fit to work a regular 9 to 5. And some days we wish we could, because it would make life a lot easier for us. But we're not wired that way, so we have to depend on our art because that's something we can do. Something we're good at, something that we thrive off of. And thinking back of all those times where you just wish for like, I wish someone would buy this painting, or someone would commission, or someone would buy this digital digital piece, and or print. It gets to you because you feel like you're not good enough and that you should be better. But what my fiance just said is, with Instagram, for example, the algorithms, my God. You gotta be a content creator now. You got to be a trend spotter, a trend follower, a reel maker, a photographer, and on top of that, an artist as well. So you got all these little jobs combined into one to promote your artwork. And if you don't do it the right way, Instagram, the platform that is most used for art, is not gonna help. It just absolutely gets you nowhere. So you do your best and there's still no sales, and you're like, where am I going wrong? But that's the thing, you're not going wrong anywhere because you're doing the right things, but it's algorithms. And if you paint a portrait, for example, you have more luck of getting that to be seen because faces do well, because it's a photography selfie platform. It is tricky to navigate all those things, and that can lead to burnout as well. But personally, I haven't experienced that yet. I used to struggle with Artblock very, very, very much. But after 3 years after I graduated uni, so that's like 21, 22. Yeah, I think 22, because that's when I met Rich. And that's when things started getting better for me, art-wise, because I got so inspired by his art and by him as a person. And that's where I started finding my drive again to create again and find my own way in art. Before that, I was just doing random doodles, changing style every 2 days, and I was just letting my creativity flow, but just for the sake of it, because I needed an outlet. But now, I really am finding my way in it, and I feel more connected to it than ever, and that is because I'm painting physically now, and that goes back to the days when I used to work with Copic markers and liquid ink. And it's a nice feeling, because uni taught me to do everything digital, because of course, game art, things are digital, and you get so tired of it. Like the last year of uni, I didn't go to school anymore. I got regular burnout. I was burnt out of school because the first year is an orientation year, and you have to do all the different courses they give. So they offer. So you had to do photography for a few weeks. You had to do graphic design for a few weeks. You had to do coding for a few weeks. Game art for a few weeks. And that's when I wanted to quit, because it didn't feel right. But my parents were like, "No, it's first year, orientation year. Second year, you're doing game art. Just push on." Pushed on. Second year, no, it's not for me. I'm not feeling it. It's not going well. Parents said, "It's just the second year. You feel better in the third year, because then you're more specializing." Third year came around. Still not feeling it. Wanted to quit. Parents, "Nope. You got one more year to go. You can do it." Fourth year, my health declined. And then on top of that, I suffered burnout and I stopped going to school. I did all my work from home. I didn't go to school anymore. I couldn't do it. And that was tricky. And it took me years to get over that. Years. I think last year is the time I started healing from, and that's 2024. And I graduated in 2019. So that's 5 years it took me to get over my regular burnout. And I'm saying regular burnout not because it's a regular burnout, but more because I want to emphasize that it was not an art burnout. And it's a tricky thing, and the reason why I'm saying this is because you can work and push yourself to fit a certain label in art. If you love the artist Louis Royo, for example, you love his art and you want to be that kind of artist, but you know that your heart is more in something else, you can push yourself all you want, but it's not going to work out because your heart's not in it fully. And the reason I'm saying that is because my heart wasn't in game art, so I pushed myself so hard and got burned out from it. It took me 5 years to recover from it. In the 6th year, I'm really finding my own style, 6 years after uni. And it feels amazing. I got the motivation, I got the inspiration, and I'm getting on with it. I just struggle now with the whole marketing side of it, because I'm not good with spotting trends. I'm not good with following trends. I'm not good with making videos and stuff like that. But I want to be better at it, because I do think my art is worth to be seen. And so, same with my fiance's work. His art is worth to be seen and worth to be bought, because it is good. It's really good. And that's where we need to be all these other things, content creators as well. And the trick is to not let that burn you out. But how?
I think what you were saying that as well, like I was just thinking there as well, like the art burnout that I've had, I think it comes from my life as well, because I'm burnt out in life at the same time I got burnt out with my art. So yeah, again, I guess they'll go hand in hand, but when you were saying that there, I was just thinking to myself there, yeah, when I got burnt out with my art, I was burnt out in life.
Yeah.
And life, like, comes to a standstill as well at the same time. And I know a lot of things overlap, but whatever it is, the block that I've had and everything, it's something's like coming back now. But like you said there, your parents was like pushing you to push through it, but it just got you worse. And that's why sometimes like you get a lot of advice where, oh, just push through it, just carry on. But that's in this commercial world that we're living in, capitalism that we're living in, where it's just like business, just churn it out, don't give up. And art's a different thing. And I think sometimes the career that we have, you've got to have a rest from it. You've got to.
Yeah.
And because ours is different, you can go away and you can do body work, do an exhibition, sell the work, just like musicians do with an album.
Yeah.
I always relate that artists and visual artists and musicians are the same thing. They bring out an album, they push, promote. Now they're signing, they're getting more physical with it now. Now they're all signing to get more sales through that way rather than like downloading this. Because they've got the core fans, and even though if they're niche and stuff like that, they still work at it.
Mm-hmm.
And they do all this work promoting an album, same with an exhibition. You do all this work promoting it, and if you make sales, that's it. And then after that, you can have a rest. And a lot of art careers work like that. Like, same with the book. A writer will go away, write a book, spend whatever time, then they're out promoting it, and then they can have a rest again until the next thing. But they all seem to have a rest. Same with actors, every film. They do it, they're employed for a film, they go away, they're unemployed in a way. And then until the next film. A lot of creative jobs are like that. And I think you've got to embrace, because that's part of creativity. It's not to do with laziness or anything. I don't think the world of work understand that art, creative jobs work like that. You do this body of work, you write it, and you go out and you promote it, and then you can have a break. So I think, but usually a lot of people are burnt out by the time they have done a body of work. They do want to rest because it's that draining. Yeah. And people just think it's this luxurious life that you live and this and that. It's not. And I think the best thing to do is when you've got an art block or a burnout or anything like that is to just go away, because what is also part of our job? Inspiration. Yeah. So you can still work away while, if people have got the money, I would advise somebody go away, go somewhere. Yeah. If you can, have a trip away, weekend away, whatever you can afford, do it if you can. Yeah. If you can't afford that, then have a weekend away somewhere in your own country, somewhere. Yeah. And just, if you can, just go somewhere different, because you're going to find inspiration, and just have a think about that, because you never really shut off from your job. You go through inspiration things, and you usually found that you'll probably found inspiration when you've like had a break and you've gone somewhere different as well. But I think that's the thing you've got to remember, like with all creative jobs, is you've got to have breaks from it. You can't keep churning stuff out. Yeah. So if you've got a block, I do think personally, I know everyone's different, but I've found it better when I've had a break and I've gone somewhere different, and it re-energises you. Yep. And if you have that like reflection or go for inspiration, but that's the beauty of our line of work. Like, sometimes people know they've got art block or anything like that, so they might take themselves away somewhere, go somewhere, find inspiration. Mm-hmm. But that's where I think a lot of jealousy comes into it, that as an artist, as a creative person, that people can't do that in a normal work. Yeah. And when you've got control over self-employment, you can do that. And it can be part of that journey and story. You can go away for a weekend somewhere, I don't know, to the woods or something. It could inspire you to like do a new piece of work. Come back, you've got inspiration, you're energised, you've had a break, you've had time to think again. Mm-hmm. Then you do your next body of work. But that is all part of your story, that you went away somewhere and you found inspiration. And it becomes that body of work again when you create new work, whatever creativity like you're doing. But I think people just need a break. Or if you can't afford that, then have a break in your own house and just give yourself a 2-week holiday. Because you've got the power to be on sick when you're an artist. You don't need a job, like a job where a doctor needs to say, right, you're stressed out, you need 2 weeks off. That's it, you've got 2 weeks off when you've got a job. Mm-hmm. I think as an artist, like, do that yourself. Yeah. Like, you know when you're burnt out. You don't need a doctor to tell you that you're burnt out, you need time off. Just give yourself 2 weeks off, but also make that part of that, like, reflection, and think about what you're about. Because sometimes we can lose our ways as an artist. Like, you can start losing what you're about and think, oh, I'm not selling work, so maybe I need to do this and go on trends more. But if you're not about that, you're going against your car. Yep. If you give yourself a break, whether it's in your own house for 2 weeks or you go somewhere, you probably found the core route of where you're coming from again. You might think, yeah, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm just chasing money, and that's what's burning me out. No, get to the core of it. I've just got to get out there, do what I'm doing, and just believing it more. But it's an hard thing to do when you push it up, because it's so hard when you're pushing yourself and you're marketing.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the burnout can come from as well. And I know for a fact that's what's happened with me. But yeah, I've definitely had a burnout in life. I know that.
Yeah.
Which is, if I've got a burnout in life, of course it's going to give you a burnout in art as well, I think.
No, definitely.
Because I don't think you're going to get energy from art when you're burnt out in life. Because you're exhausted. And when something you're passionate about, it's going to affect, like depression.
Yeah.
Depression, you're depressed about life. What happens in depression? You go off your hobbies.
Yeah.
And art is similar to that in that way. So, of course, I think if you've got art burnout, you're probably burnt out in life, maybe.
Yeah.
I think with us talking about this and that. So, yeah.
I know, definitely. And I also find that, like, a lot of people have beef with artists because they all think what you said earlier. They just lay on the sofa and just chill and just create art whenever they want. But it comes with a lot of discipline, being self-employed, because you need to set your own hours and stick to it. And I don't mean it as like, oh, I'm gonna work from 9 to 5. No, if you set yourself a goal for like working 6 hours a day, you gotta fill in those 6 hours. Whether it's from 9 to 3 or from 12 to 6, whatever, doesn't matter. Or you work 3 hours, take a 2-hour break, do something else, and then work another 3 hours, for example.
And also, if it's that cushy as an artist and people criticise it, well, why don't they do it then?
Exactly.
If it's that cushy. No, they won't.
No, and there's another thing, like, a lot of people rely on the security of a paycheck, which I fully understand because, you know, it's nice to know where your money's coming from and when you're going to get it. However, when you tell someone who works in an office, for example, oh yeah, I'm an artist and I sell my work and that's my livelihood and that's where I get my money from, they're like, huh, that must be nice.
Yep.
Because artists, for some reason, automatically, people assume that you got loads of money. And that you're absolutely loaded and do nothing. And that's a common misconception. It can also lead to burnout. Because you feel like you have to live up to people's expectations. Unreal and unrealistic expectations. Because most artists are perfectionists and they already live up to their own insanely high standards. And then when you got people in your environment being like, oh, that must be nice, thinking you're loaded and do nothing for it, well, then you also have expectations from other people to fulfill, and that can also burn you out in life and in art.
And again, I think that where people think you're loaded, because if you create this unique piece and you sell it for like 500 or whatever it is,
Yeah.
sorry, it's like, people think, oh, that's a lot of money. Yeah, it could be a third of their wage, what they're guaranteed a month, but they don't realise, like, but you've got to fight for that, for that money all the time. But the effort you put into it actually don't come to the labour and things, stuff like that, you know. And until you prove yourself as an artist, it only really works until you start getting a name. Then you start profiting.
Yeah.
But of course, you enjoy doing it, and that's the mix-up. Because you enjoy doing it, you're happy to sell it for 500, even though in proper real wages, it probably was like £1,500 worth of your time, really, on what you've done. But people don't put the value on time with art, and that's why you can't really charge like that.
No, exactly.
It's normally you charge by the per square inch or linear inch, whatever it is, things like that. They're methods. You're missing out. You're underpaid in that way.
Yeah.
But you understand that when you're starting out. But again, it's a cultural thing that culturally, some places will pay it. A lot of places don't, and that's where, again, that can lead to a burnout with yourself, because you know you're getting underpaid with things.
Yeah.
And it's not about the money. It's not that. It's just, of course, you're privileged that you're getting paid for something that you enjoy. But people are a bit like that. Oh, must be nice with an hobby.
Yeah.
And people don't understand it, because work, and I've never got my head around this, but work equals misery. Pay equals misery. Money equals sacrificing your freedom, your time for money. So people don't understand when you're an artist that why are you getting paid for an hobby? And I've never understood that with people. Yet all of them can be fans of football or watch Netflix or watch a film with a favourite actor, and they're paid how much? And they're all getting paid for their hobbies.
Yeah.
So we live in a society where we accept the people we've idolised, oh, that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
But not when it comes to other things. Like when it comes to normal people, it's like, oh, no, you don't do that.
No, exactly.
And I think, again, that can be a part of burnout with things, like with us all. It's that life in as luxurious as it is.
Yeah. And I want to also add that when you're an artist and you usually find inspiration in your favorite band, let's say, I don't know, Green Day, just to say a random band, and you find inspiration in the lyrics, in their visuals and everything, and then Artblock hits. Because suddenly you go off their music and the thing that brought you inspiration is gone. Or you find another band way more interesting musically, but visually they don't give you inspiration. What do you do then? They need to find new sources of inspiration, and that can be very difficult as well, because Artblock isn't just, that's a pretty flower, I'm gonna draw something based on that flower. And then suddenly you're like, oh, I can finish this because I just don't feel like it. No, it's not like that. It's usually when things are inspiring to you and they become no longer that. You lose the inspiration in the things that brought you inspiration in the first place. And when I was younger, and I mean like when I was like 12, 13, I was obsessed with this singer, Emily Autumn. I know she's controversial now, and she's gone off the rails and everything, and what she's doing is wrong. In case anyone knows her, just know I don't support her anymore. But I used to be obsessed with her. And a lot of my artwork was based on a lot of visuals that she had. Like the black and white striped stockings. Well, honestly, I've always been for black and white stripes, even when I was itty bitty. But that just, my obsession with her just enhanced that feeling, like, oh, someone else likes black and white stripes. Cool, I can put that more into my art now and live more by the black and white color scheme. And things like that. And seriously, I started disliking her. It was like, yeah, when I start figuring out what she was about and the kind of mean person she actually is, and the morally things that the things that she does are morally wrong, and you go off and you're like, oh, my entire inspiration was based on her music, on her visuals, on her artwork, on her writing. And that falls away. So I had a mini artwork back then as well. But then I started finding inspiration in other things, like Tim Burton, for example. And then uni came, and major Artblock hit again. And now I'm going back to the core of what I like to do. And my inspiration now, funnily enough, comes from my fiancé. Because I am inspired by his artwork. And he makes these incredible paintings, and there's something in them that just absolutely wows me. That I find inspiration in, like, recreating my own versions of his work, or taking elements from his work and make it my own. And this is gonna sound super cheesy, but I don't care. I also find tons of inspiration in our relationship. As every couple, you go through ups and downs. And I find inspiration in the times we had struggles. I find inspiration in our happiness. I find inspiration in our romance. I find inspiration in our laughter. I find inspiration in everything we do. And everything that we stand for, and our clothing styles, our music taste, the things that we share. And where I really get inspired is that my fiancé pushes me in a healthy way. Not in the way that my parents used to do, but he pushed me in a healthy way to be better, to make my last artwork better than the one I made before. But in a good way, to always keep learning, and not in a, oh, this needs to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, I'm gonna punish myself. No, in a way of, you're always learning, and that's perfectly fine. You're always reinventing yourself, but keeping the core of you alive. And for me, that's a tremendous inspiration. So a lot of people turn to music or films or other artists for inspiration, but look a bit closer. It could be a story your grandma once told you that really does something for you, that you can create a beautiful artwork out of, or that figurine that your dad had in the windowsill that just does something for you that you want to do something with, or just a relationship between you and your sibling that you just really adore and want to do something with, creative wise. Inspiration isn't always from famous people or famous artists or unknown artists or whatever. No, it can even be close to you. So when you suffer from Artblock, try looking at things from a different perspective. Maybe that can help.
So I've always been a goth at art from my teens, and I struggled to express that. So I've always blanked it. But yeah, that's the time where normally people are goth. They're at school or whatever, or college, and they'll be goth, and then they outgrow it. Mm-hmm. The other way is I've met you, and you're goth at art. You've lived beyond that, and you're one of them goths that live your life as you're goth.
Exactly.
But normally, it's a lot of people go through the phase.
Yeah.
And there's people that I know of that have gone through that, and that's it, and then they outgrow it. Yeah. And it's on the rarer side when people are true goths and they live beyond the old school and teen years and this and that. But I knew I was a goth at art because, I couldn't express it at the time when I was a teenager myself. And then when I went to uni, I started doing, my art, it was a gothic style that I was doing, but I was ashamed at the same time because I was like, my family are going to see this. They're going to see the exhibition. But I couldn't help but also express what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I was also ashamed at it. So then after uni, then years after that, I started painting. And I started going on the darker side with things. But I still kept it limited because I knew my family was seeing these artworks I was creating. But I couldn't fully go there still. And that inspiration that you said there, that look closer, and I've met you, and now I'm going there with things now. Now I dare go there, and I'm like, what was I worried about? What? I'm a goth artist. Express it. Just do it. Now I'm doing it. It was always there all along, and I just wish I'd have gone there back in the past fully what I wanted to. But I was worried about what people thought. Now I've met you, I've got the confidence. I don't care what people think. And same with our dress, you're helping me on that, and it's helping me in so many ways. Yeah. And here we are. It's but I think what it was I was projecting what I wanted to be on these characters that I was painting.
Yeah.
So I could create these goth characters and the fashion that they're wearing, but it was really what, if I was them, that's what I would want to wear. Or it sounds daft, but that motivated me. And again, back with the Artblock thing, it's that I think, is it that I also worry too much as well? Because I have hit that phase now where actually, I've got to go there. Now, what am I worried about? So go there, and I think there's been a bit of that where with my Artblock recent is this, where am I going? I've got to just let that go, let that fear go again. Yeah. And just embrace no, this is it, and this is the audience, and that's that.
Yeah.
But what am I worrying about? But it also affects my personal life in that way as well, because you brought that out on me. Yeah. What you're saying there, look closer and things, and that's where your inspiration is, rubbed off on me in that way as well. Yeah. So now it's this, I'm in a different place now.
Yeah.
And just suddenly, these last couple of days, I've found something again. And I'm going there, I'm thinking, no. Again, I think it's just, I'm so used to this. No, you can't do that, you can't do this. And again, I think that can put a block on it. If you can't be who you want to be, surely that has also got to put, some sort of block on what you're doing.
Definitely.
And, an example, imagine somebody be an erotic writer as a book, but they're worried about what the family thinks.
Yeah.
But in the core, they want to do that. It's going to block them in some way when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
If they're worried too much about what the family or friends think.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, if that makes any sense, where it comes from, like with the goth thing. And then there's going to be a point where they think, like, no, stuff it. But then they're still so used to being in that place of, oh no, I can't write stuff like this or express what I really want to, like, say or do in the work. But maybe that's where I've realised in the last few years, like, just go there.
Yeah.
Just do it. And has that been the block that, like, with me?
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, I don't know, but it's just the way I'm feeling with things. It's just the way you said there about look closer.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, if you can't fully express yourself in whatever way in day-to-day life, it's going to affect your art. Because then you're going to feel lost. What am I? What do I stand for? Who am I? You're going to get... If you have an identity crisis, your art's going to suffer from that as well. But you can also use it to your advantage. Use the mismatched thoughts in your head as inspiration. So everything, I think, comes down to a certain mindset. And if you change your mindset, I think you can accomplish a lot. And that goes for anyone who listens to this. If you change your mindset, you can accomplish anything, really. Because what my fiance just said, he's a goth at heart. He could never express it. He's with me now. I'm goth. Was basically been all my life, but really started expressing it when I was like 11. And
That's why I admire you, because like you did it at the time that I wanted to. At the time I never did. You have, and you've carried on, and you've not outgrown it.
No.
From your school or college years.
No, if anything, I'm becoming more and more. And
I'm at an age where I shouldn't be entering it. I should have done it at school or whatever. But I'm going there because I'm a goth at heart.
Yeah.
Because that middle part of when I started my artworks, I never knew you then.
No.
Why was the goth coming out of me in then? But I was still restricting myself from what I was doing. A few years after that, I met you, and then it's really come out.
Yeah.
So that's where, in that way, the goth in me back then is, and that's where now I'm living this alt life.
Yeah.
In the years that don't really happen because it's more of a young teen thing that goes on that people think. But true goths are not like that. And that's how I know the true goth is in me, because it's never left me. So I know it was never a phase. But meeting you was like helped me on that.
Yeah, and I'm happy that I can help you express who you are. And I'm very proud of that. And it reflects in your artwork as well, because if I compare what you used to do from your Instagram days from when we met to what you do now, it's a lot darker. It's a lot more somber. There's a lot more emotion in there. And which is bizarre because everything you used to paint was already jam-packed with emotion, but it's a different type of emotion.
It was a different way. It was more like I'm always into like interpretation.
Yeah.
I do like that, but I relied on that too much, I think.
Yeah, and now it's just the
Back
darkness
then.
is really showing now. It's really coming out. It's more gothy. It's more dark, more ethereal, more fantasy, more expressive. And of course that reflects what you're doing in your current life as well, because I'm helping you express it with clothing and introducing you to new music. And you're goth at heart and you're expressing it now, and I'm really proud of that. You
also hear a lot of things like with bands and stuff where they don't follow the core, their art, what they believe in, and they chase what they think, and they listen to a lot of like record labels where they want them to go, and they end up like they never last, and that's why a lot of bands don't last. Yeah. And there's like a band that we're following now that I got you into. Yeah. And the music was so different in the beginning, but yet they literally said it in the lyrics that they're going to the dark side, they're not ashamed anymore. Yeah. And that they used to be, and they're changing now. Now they're going really gothy, and they're growing faster. And they're growing faster than the people they used to be warm-up acts for. Yeah. So they're growing faster now, and they're getting somewhere. And it's the same thing with them, that if they'd have followed what the thought in the beginning, what they was doing,
Yeah.
would they be where they are now? Would they lose that momentum? Would they have that art block, burnout, whatever it is with them?
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
not they're picking energy up, and us as fans, we're just loving everything that they're doing now.
Yeah.
And there's an example, like with that, is it that sometimes we just worry too much on things as well?
So that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for listening. I'm sure this is a topic that we're going to come back to because art block and art burnout is always relevant in the art world. If you want to follow us on social media, on Instagram you can find us under the handles Art by Darkling and Mrs. Darkling Art. And our Weebly sites / web shops under the same handles. Again, thank you so much for listening, and hopefully we get to have you in the next episode.